So imagine walking into a studio, zipping yourself into this specialized suit and doing a workout where you do absolutely no heavy lifting whatsoever.
Right, no weights.
Yeah, like no massive dumbbells, no dropping a barbell on your back. And yet 20 minutes later, you've somehow subjected your body to the exact physiological equivalent of a grueling, like a 3-hour weight training session.
It is wild.
It really is. Your joints feel fine, your spine isn't compressed, but your muscles have been pushed to their absolute maximum limit. So today, we're exploring the technology making that possible.
Yeah, it honestly sounds a bit like science fiction, right?
Yeah.
But it's very real. And more importantly, it's completely reshaping consumer expectations around fitness.
And that is exactly what we're unpacking in today's deep dive. We're looking at a brand called Pulse Performance. But we aren't just looking at this from, the perspective of a gym goer.
Right, the business side.
Exactly. We're analyzing this through the lens of business ownership. Because if you're listening to this right now, you're probably evaluating your next major move. You might be a corporate professional, kind of quietly feeling the burnout of that 9-to-5 grind, looking for an exit strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe you're a semi-absentee investor, right? Or an existing franchisee looking for multi-unit expansion. But you absolutely refuse to buy into a model that chains you to a front desk for 80 hours a week.
Right, which is so common.
It's the classic entrepreneurial trap.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people want the financial independence of business ownership, but they end up just buying themselves a very stressful, high-overhead job. The goal for a sophisticated investor isn't just revenue. It's creating a scalable asset that doesn't consume your personal life.
Okay, let's unpack this because that brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We're going to break down how Pulse Performance combines this highly futuristic, tech-enhanced wellness product with a really predictable recurring membership model.
Yeah, the unit economics are fascinating.
They really are. We want to understand the mechanics that make this a true lifestyle business for the franchise owner. So, let's start with the consumer engine. What is actually getting people to walk through those front doors and hand over their credit cards?
Right.
At the center of this model is something called EMS, or electrical muscle stimulation. How does this actually work on, a biological level?
So to really grasp the business value of EMS, you kind of have to understand the physiology of a normal workout. Like when you lift a weight, your central nervous system sends an electrical signal to your muscles telling them to contract.
Okay, makes sense.
But your brain essentially acts as a speed limiter, like to prevent you from tearing a muscle or injuring yourself. Your brain naturally stops you from firing 100% of your muscle fibers.
Yeah.
You might only be recruiting, 30 or 40% of the muscle in a standard workout.
Wait, really? So your brain is literally holding you back from maximum efficiency?
Exactly. It's protecting you. So what an EMS suit does is it acts like a direct external software override.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it completely bypasses that central nervous system governor. It sends these gentle electrical impulses directly into the muscles, penetrating through all the layers simultaneously. So it forces those muscle fibers to contract deeply and thousands of times more frequently than you could ever achieve through just voluntary physical exertion.
So instead of the traditional fitness franchise model, which is, essentially selling people access to heavy iron and telling them to spend hours taking the stairs, this is like installing a high-speed elevator.
That is the perfect way to look at it, the high-speed elevator of fitness. Because of that targeted deep tissue stimulation, a client achieves the equivalent of an hours-long workout in exactly 20 minutes.
20 minutes? That's crazy.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of consumer psychology, you realize what the franchise is actually selling. They're not selling a sweat session. They are selling time.
Oh, absolutely. Time is everything.
It's the single most heavily guarded luxury for the modern consumer. A 20-minute commitment that yields exponential, scientifically backed results. That's an incredibly sticky value proposition.
Okay, I have to jump in here and play devil's advocate, though. I look at high-tech fitness trends over the last few years. Remember the massive boom we saw with at-home connected fitness bikes and those digital mirrors?
Everyone had one.
Right. They exploded, and then the novelty wore off, and consumer interest just crashed hard. How does a franchise owner avoid opening a studio built around a 20-minute novelty that people, get bored of and cancel after 3 months?
Well, what's fascinating here is that unlike at-home fitness gadgets, which, let's be honest, just digitize traditional cardio, EMS solves a fundamental physical barrier for a massive demographic.
Meaning what exactly?
Well, yes, elite athletes utilize EMS to find that extra 1% of performance. But because EMS builds serious muscle mass without placing any mechanical load on soft tissues or joints, it massively widens the franchise owner's addressable market.
Oh, because you aren't loading up a barbell. So the joint impact is practically zero.
Precisely. Zero joint impact. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. If you're 65 years old and trying to maintain bone density and muscle mass, a traditional gym is a really high-risk environment.
Yeah, you could blow out a knee.
Exactly. Or if you're recovering from a torn ligament, or you suffer from chronic lower back pain, you simply cannot do heavy squats or deadlifts. EMS allows those individuals to build strength without the joint stress.
That's a game changer.
It really is.
Mm.
So your target demographic isn't just 25-year-old fitness influencers. It's middle-aged professionals, seniors, and people in physical rehabilitation. It expands the market rather than narrowing it down to a biohacker niche.
That makes a ton of sense. It turns a niche technology into a remarkably accessible mainstream solution. But they don't just stop at the workout suit, right? The franchise model is built as a holistic tech environment. Let's talk about how they measure success, because this directly addresses that churn and retention issue I brought up. They use a system called the Staiku 3D body scan.
Ah, yes. This is a brilliant operational strategy because in the fitness industry, the traditional bathroom scale is the enemy of retention.
Oh, we all know the universal trauma of stepping on the scale after 2 weeks of working out, expecting a huge drop, and the number hasn't moved an ounce. It's completely demoralizing.
Right, because the scale doesn't tell you that you lost 3 pounds of fat but gained 3 pounds of dense muscle. The member just sees a stagnant number, assumes the program doesn't work, and cancels their membership.
Worse.
Yeah, but the StyQ 3D scanner eliminates that point of failure. It uses infrared depth sensors to capture millions of data points across the client's body, creating a highly precise 3D avatar.
Oh, that's cool.
It tracks the exact physiological transformation down to fractions of an inch, showing exactly where fat is melting and where muscle is growing.
So the data constantly validates their financial investment in the membership. Like, you can't argue with the 3D rendering of your own changing physique. And this tech ecosystem also includes recovery, right? I was reading about the TrueFlex body sculpting and the infrared fitness PODs.
Yes, the recovery tech is huge. The TrueFlex system uses targeted, specialized EMS designed specifically for rapid, localized fat burning and muscle building, while the client is essentially just in a resting state.
Wow.
And the infrared PODs take recovery to the cellular level. They utilize near-infrared light, which physically penetrates the skin to stimulate the mitochondria in your cells.
The powerhouse of the cell, as we all learned in high school biology.
Exactly. We finally get to use that. It stimulates the mitochondria to produce more ATP, which is cellular energy. This accelerates muscle recovery, aids in deep tissue detoxification, and purifies the skin. It transforms the location from a standard gym into a high-end, white-glove wellness clinic.
To put some real-world perspective on this tech stack, I looked at a specific client success story that genuinely shocked me.
Let's hear it.
So a client named Karima utilized this system, and in just 14 days, her internal shape score went up 7 points. She lost over an inch off her waist, lost 2 pounds of pure fat, and actively gained 4 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks.
Those metrics are staggering. Just staggering. And from a franchise perspective, when you can deliver verifiable, visible results like that in under a month, your customer acquisition cost drops drastically.
For sure.
The marketing basically begins to do itself through sheer word of mouth and localized social proof.
So if those visible 3D results keep churn at near zero, that totally changes the financial math for the owner. Let's shift our perspective from the workout floor to the back office, because we really need to examine how this consumer demand translates into unit economics.
Right, the numbers. Well, the macro environment is providing a massive tailwind here. The global muscle stimulation devices market is projected to hit $912.1 million by the end of 2027.
Wow. Almost $1 billion.
Yeah, we're looking at a sector rapidly approaching $1 billion, fueled entirely by the dual demand for time efficiency and joint-safe training.
So how is the Pulse Performance franchise structured to capture that demand? What I find compelling is that the revenue model doesn't rely on a single point of failure. It operates very much like a well-diversified stock portfolio.
Diversification is critical for franchise stability, yeah? You have the core membership fees, which provide the bedrock of the business. That is your predictable, recurring monthly revenue that keeps the lights on, pays the rent, covers payroll. But the model is layered.
Right, because on top of the memberships, you have individual a la carte services. Maybe someone just wants to buy a package of infrared POD sessions.
Exactly.
Then you have retail sales and high-margin nutritional supplements. If a member decides to skip buying their tub of protein powder one month, your business doesn't panic because their recurring EMS membership is still anchoring the bottom line.
That layered revenue is half of the profitability equation. The other half, and this is where the whole lifestyle business concept becomes real, is the fiercely controlled overhead.
Yes, the operational footprint. If you're comparing this to a massive 20,000 square foot big box gym, the real estate required for a Pulse Performance studio is tiny.
Very lean.
You can place these in high-end, boutique retail strip centers, but what really jumped out at me were the operating hours. They utilize a split-shift model.
Oh, the hours of operation are a masterclass in margin protection.
Let's break that down because a typical studio might open at 6 a.m. to catch the morning crowd, run until 2:00 p.m., and then they literally lock the doors and close for the afternoon. Then they reopen from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the post-work rush. Wait, doesn't that make staffing an absolute nightmare?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, if you're sending your trainers home for 2.5 hours in the middle of the day, how do you retain quality talent?
This raises an important point about the labor model in boutique fitness. You aren't hiring traditional full-time personal trainers who demand 40 hours a week of floor time.
Oh, okay.
Because the footprint is small and the sessions are highly structured around the technology, the labor pool shifts. You're often hiring specialized part-time staff, kinesiology students, or fitness pros who are specifically looking for premium shift work.
That makes sense.
Furthermore, because you aren't bleeding cash to keep the lights on during dead hours, the studio can often afford a highly competitive hourly rate for those specific peak hours.
Ah, I see. What happens in a traditional gym between 2:00 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. on a Tuesday? Absolutely nothing. It is a ghost town.
Nothing at all.
But in the traditional model, the franchisee is still paying a front desk worker to scroll on their phone, burning electricity, and running the HVAC.
Exactly. By surgically removing the dead hours, the split shift model allows the franchisee to only pay for labor and utilities when the studio is actively generating revenue. You don't have 24/7 overhead.
That's huge.
It engineers the business to work around high-yield hours, rather than forcing the owner to manage a massive, idle payroll.
Okay, so we have a massive addressable market, deeply sticky recurring revenue, and highly controlled overhead. It sounds incredible on paper. But if you're listening to this and you hear about imported EMS suits, sophisticated infrared tech, and 3D body scanners, your internal risk meter is probably going off.
As it should.
Right. Jumping into a high-tech industry requires way more than just capital. It requires an operational roadmap that actually works.
Without a doubt. The absolute fastest way to fail in franchising is to pay a franchise fee and then try to reinvent the wheel. You're paying for a proven system and a supply chain that has already been stress tested.
So let's get into the actual numbers and the corporate backing. To get one of these studios open, the total initial investment ranges from $227,300 on the low end to $491,500 on the high end.
Which, when placed in the context of the health and fitness sector, is highly competitive. Building out a large format fitness franchise can easily cost upwards of $2 to $3 million before you ever sign up a single member.
Exactly. This barrier to entry is much more accessible, particularly for a corporate professional who might be leveraging their 401k through a ROBS program or utilizing an SBA loan. The brand does require a minimum net worth of $500,000 with a liquid cash requirement of $50,000.
Very standard for this tier.
On an ongoing basis, the royalty fee is 7.5% with a 2% ad royalty fee. They have been actively franchising since 2021, and the franchise agreement is renewable.
And that 2021 launch date is significant regarding territory availability. We are currently in a very attractive window for aspiring multi-unit owners. The map is not saturated.
Right, they're in a phase of aggressive strategic expansion across the entire United States. We're talking wide-open territories from California to New York, Arizona to Virginia.
International, too.
Yeah, they have massive international availability, targeting regions like Asia, Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and Canada. The runway for scaling a multi-unit portfolio is huge right now.
But again, open territory and a sleek technological product mean absolutely nothing if the corporate team leaves you stranded on an island after you sign the agreement.
Here's where it gets really interesting. And frankly, this is the element that separates a risky tech startup from a viable franchise investment. The executive team backing Pulse Performance has over 25 years of deep franchise
That's
experience.
the secret sauce.
They haven't just managed a few stores, they've built, scaled, and supported multiple national franchise brands that have ranked on the Inc. 500 list.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture for the prospective buyer, this is the true justification for the franchise fee. Like if you were a solo entrepreneur trying to open an EMS studio, the supply chain logistics for importing specialized European EMS suits and highly calibrated 3D scanners would bury you.
Oh, completely.
You'd be fighting customs, struggling with firmware updates, and just guessing at your marketing spend.
It would be a total nightmare. But this executive team has already taken those bullets. They've smoothed out the international supply chain. They've integrated the tech stack so the scanners talk to the member apps smoothly.
Yep.
They've A/B tested the digital marketing playbook to know exactly what messaging acquires a new member at the lowest possible cost.
They bring a quarter century of data and operational scars to the table. When they provide a franchisee with hands-on business coaching and localized support, it's rooted in proven, Inc. 500-level methodology. That is how you mitigate risk when entering a high-tech wellness space.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you weigh your options for business ownership? Let's distill everything we've uncovered today. Pulse Performance is drastically more than a trendy fitness concept.
Oh, more.
It's a highly engineered franchise vehicle designed for the modern investor. It pairs the holy grail of unit economics, which is minimal, surgically controlled overhead, with highly predictable, recurring membership revenue.
Exactly.
It targets a rapidly expanding demographic of consumers desperate for time efficiency and joint-safe training, and it backs the franchisee with a world-class, battle-tested corporate support system.
It fundamentally redefines the concept of a lifestyle business. I mean, it leverages cutting-edge technology not just to transform the client's body, but to streamline the owner's operations, allowing the franchisee to build serious equity without sacrificing their personal life to the daily grind.